Hey, this is David Ramsey from Arrow, and you're listening to Tomorrow's Legends with Martin, The Flash, Harley Quinn, and X-Force 11. Oliver, don't.
You think you know the story. You've heard it 100 times. But this is not the tale that you know, for this part of the story has yet to be written. Join Flash, Harley, and X-Force 11 as they take the Waverider into the near future and check in on some old friends. This is the new adventures of Superman and Lois, as chronicled by Tomorrow's Legends.
Yes, hello, super fan of Steel. We are loaded up with Kleenexes. These last few episodes have been challenging to get through, to say the least. But we'll do our best as we talk about Superman and Lois Season 3, Episode 7, Forever and Always. I am The Flash.
I'm Harley Quinn.
And I'm wishing I could share some of my hope with Jonathan right now. I'm X-Force 11.
Hello, Legends.
Hello, Gideon. Let's get to some news. You know what? Here's some news. This is the first time the three of us have been together in like a month.
I know. Getting stuck together. Woo.
Yeah, woo.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
All right, like we talked about in last episode's news, we knew we were going to have 2 weeks of break sometime during the rest of Superman and Lois, and we found out this week that one of those weeks is going to be on May 16th. So next week we'll have a new episode of Superman and Lois called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and then on the 16th of Sound Mind will repeat. And I'm going to guess that probably the following week we'll get a repeat of this week's episode, but we'll see. But they usually release that information late on Tuesday evening, and so we'll have that in the news. Whether we'll be new or not, we'll let you know. But we know that this is the 16th is one break, and we'll have another one sometime before the end of the season. So
cool. Well, let's briefly speculate who is coming to dinner.
Bruno, John Henry. I don't know.
I think it's a Bruno finds out that John Henry is his girlfriend's dad.
Or would Lois and Clark invite Bruno and Peia over to their house for dinner?
Wow.
Lois did mention she wanted to do that. That's distinctly possible.
Yeah. Who knows? Could be a double.
Or maybe Chrissy is coming to dinner at Lana's house.
Oh, God. Awkward. With Kyle.
Yeah, oh, man. Can you imagine?
Oh, gosh.
That'd be weird.
All right, well, I got just a fun little piece of news here. Just as I was getting notes and everything going today, I noticed an interview with Grant Gustin, the Flash himself. The question was plain and simple. Would you ever be open to playing Barry Allen and the Flash again now that Flash is over? And Grant answered, I can't wrap my head around it right now, obviously, but if someone called me today or tomorrow and was like, hey, we have this amazing Flash idea, obviously it's like I'm going to take that phone call and listen to that idea. And I think this is a character that I'm going to, no matter if I play it again or not, I'll probably be associated with this character for more than anything else in my career for the rest of my life. So I'll always listen to any Flash pitch. I haven't received any of those phone calls, but I would for sure be open to playing the character again. I mean, it's very, very close to my heart. I think it always will be. So that's just cool. Just cool to know that he's not shutting it down.
No.
Yeah, no, I love that. I would love to see them bring him into the DCU. Like, would love it. But for better or for worse, I agree with him. It's what he's going to be known for the rest of his life. That and Glee. I mean, he plays a pretty iconic character on Glee. I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it's some actors have trouble with that, being recognized as that only character, and some actors don't care. Some actors are proud and love that. That's what they're going to be remembered for. But it just seems to be depending on the person. But I don't know. We had Ezra show up on The Flash. I would love to see Grant just pop in the new movie coming up, and nobody knows it's coming. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I doubt it's going to happen, but who knows?
You never know.
Never know. All right, let's get to our ratings for this episode.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
All right, I gave this one 8.5 visits to Mama L. So, cancer is the major villain so far this season, and we're getting to see how people deal with it. Human, Kryptonian, half-Kryptonian alike, it's not an easy journey. In this episode, we got a lot of background on Bruno and Peia, plus more breadcrumbs leading to Lex, and overall, a strong episode.
Yeah, no, I am right there with you. I really enjoyed this episode. I gave it 9.5 flashbacks.
Whoa, that's a high score for you. I
know. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I think this was easily my favorite episode of the season so far. I enjoyed all of the flashbacks, getting to see the story of Bruno and Peia. You all know I'm a sucker for an origin story, so this was like made for me, right? And then, of course, that final scene confirmed the theory that I've had all season long, so that's always fun, to get that validation.
Which one are you talking about? Remind us.
Really?
Which theory?
Matteo.
Oh,
Who
that
Matteo
one. Okay.
is.
Yeah. I haven't been with you for a couple weeks, so I'm trying to remember what your theory was.
I think I said in the first episode that he was going to be there, that he was going to be Bruno's son. I didn't know about Peia, so I didn't. I'm not that good, but I had him pegged for Bruno's son right away.
You're not Spectre Harley. You're just Harley.
Exactly. Yeah. No. We'll see. Maybe I'll figure out a way to become the Spectre. Who knows? Anyway,
help us all.
I did struggle a little bit with John's storyline this episode. I don't know. It was a little too teenage angsty for me, but we'll get into all that sort of stuff. But everything else was really strong for me. Overall, I thought it was really well done. It was very captivating. I was very engaged with the storyline the whole time, and so that's a good mark for me.
Yeah. Interesting you said about John, because that's the only point that I differ from you. I'm giving this one an 8 turning points with a question mark. Good, solid, and dramatic episode. Not quite as good as the last 2 weeks for me, but still strong in its storytelling and delivery. This cancer through line is getting really deep, personal, and serious in ways you wouldn't expect on a comic book TV show. This is what makes it stand apart from all the other superhero shows. Bruno, Peia, and Jonathan all had standout top-notch performances this week that really made you feel what they're going through, and I commend all of them. And I want to throw it out there that at this point, I don't think we truly have a villain. I can't help but agree with Bruno and Peia and their reasons for doing what they've done and trying to save her life. I mean, wouldn't we all do that if we could? I know I would for, the love of your life. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, let's get into the show. I love the music that they put with the Superman logo. They seem to change it based on what kind of episodes we're getting, and there's a few of them now. So I keep stealing them every time they get a new one.
Fair use laws. All right, well, let's get the Cushings and Chrissy storyline out of the way first. So, Kyle evidently has told the girls about Chrissy, and Sarah is being super snarky about it. I mean, it was wow. The getting on-screen confirmation that Chrissy is 10 years younger than Kyle was interesting to find out, to know, okay, that's where it puts stuff 40s, 30s. So,
I mean, at her age, I guess it seems weird, but what kids don't understand is once you get beyond your 20s, 10 years age gap doesn't mean anything. Once you grow up, you realize that you can find a connection with somebody no matter what their age are. I've got friends that are half my age. I got friends, my best friend in life, Dan, who does all our intros, is 10 years older than me. So it doesn't matter. Age does not matter once you get past the teenage and the early 20s.
I say that somewhere later in the notes, so I'm going to apologize now that I'm going to repeat that later.
Oh, okay.
Because I agree with you.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's totally fine. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's good for Kyle to kind of open up and be honest. Like I think he's starting to show that, you know, he's learning a little bit and wants his family involved and not to have things all uncomfortable and weird, and he doesn't want to be sneaking around. So he realized that it is time. Like he wanted to keep it secret for a little while, but you know, it's like, all right, it's time to just let it out.
Well, I didn't have a choice, now did he?
Yeah, at that same time,
Yeah. And we do get to see Chrissy and Sarah bond a little bit over the movie and music. And so I did kind of, you know, they were very antagonistic at the beginning there, and then, you know, it developed a little bit more as the episode went on.
Yeah, no, it sure did. I was wondering how this would play out. And while I agree with Lana, this really isn't Chrissy's fault. Things sort of just happened. I was kind of surprised that Sarah did come around so fast. Don't get me wrong, I like that they aren't dragging out the drama. Like, I don't want that either, but it felt a little bit less than realistic. But hey, I guess that's why it's TV.
Yeah, you know, this came completely as a surprise to me. I did not expect Sarah to turn around that fast and give Chrissy a chance.
Yeah.
So what I like about it is that it shows Sarah actually grew a tiny bit. She matured just a little bit because she's been annoying all season long. So I really, really appreciate that she stood back.
There you go, Ken. There you go. That's what you were looking for last couple of weeks.
Yeah. But she stood back, she thought about it, and she understood that this isn't Chrissy's fault, and she just opened up to her. And guess what? They can get along. Chrissy can be like an older sister kind of thing to her, so whatever. You know what? It wasn't weird to me. It felt fine. It was cool. I mean, their age gap, is their age difference similar to how the difference is between Chrissy and her dad? Is it 10 years above and 10 years below? Is that kind of Chrissy's right in the middle?
I don't think so. I would put her 15 years older than Sarah.
Yeah, because Sarah's 16 because she can drive.
Yeah.
I'd put Chrissy at 30 at a minimum, maybe 31.
Yeah, somewhere below 30s. So
yeah. So what? I mean, it's a rare thing for mixed families to all get along and work out. So right now, Lana's the last one that's got a problem with it. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm kind of envious of that because I know the mixed families I've been in and am in, it ain't that easy at all. People don't get along. So
yeah, usually it's a hard situation.
Yeah, requires a lot of work. Yeah,
or none at all because I just have no interest.
I don't blame you.
Well, talking about Lana, she's feeling like everybody else is moving on, but Sarah gives her a little bit of advice here and kind of keeps her in, you know, trying to live in the moment and be present as instead of getting stuck in her head. And so this was a little fun, interaction there at the end of the episode.
Yeah, I did really enjoy these scenes. However, I'm not gonna lie, Lana's reactions toward Kyle kind of continue to baffle me. I don't understand why she's so surprised Kyle's moving on when she's the one who made it crystal clear that their relationship was done. I mean, including she drew up divorce papers, she signed the divorce papers. I'm not saying she needs to jump headfirst into a romance, but I do think she might want to cut Kyle some slack for dating Chrissy, even if the age difference is gross, according to Sarah's words. We've already discussed. I agree. I agree with you, Flash. There's definitely stages in life where an age difference of a decade, like, really doesn't matter. And I think Chrissy's right on the cusp of it. I mean, once you get into your 30s, it's not as big of a deal.
No. And I totally agree with you. Lana has got to ease off. She's I think been the most annoying this season with her reactions to everything. Like, that seems to be all she's playing right now, is these over the top reactions and overly emotional and unjustified reactions. Yeah, feel some things, but she's just pushed it too far sometimes. And what I'm wondering is, have we gotten a clear answer as to how much time has passed since the divorce? Because Superman and Lois seems to be skipping along, sometimes a week, sometimes a day, sometimes 2 weeks. I'm kind of lost as to how much time truly has passed for us to be able to judge.
It skipped a month at one point.
Yeah, so Lois has had treatment 4 this week. And usually there's like
2 weeks.
2 weeks normally in between each treatment. And so
2 times 4, so that's 8 weeks. That's 2 months at least for that.
Yeah, so
they skipped a month, not between this episode and the one before, but in between those two. So this is episode 7. So in between 5 and 6, I believe they stated there was a month gap.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. There probably is a 2-week gap then between 6 and 7, because every episode Lois has been in treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think we officially skipped, quote, filming one of her treatments. So all of a sudden she was on like the first treatment, and then she was like halfway through, and now she's on like the 4th or 5th or whatever.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, it took a long time for Lana to sign the papers too. Like, they were separated for quite a while. Kyle was like, would you sign them? Would you sign them? And she wouldn't. So I think there's quite a bit of time there. So if it's been a few months, then
At
I
least.
mean, that's fine. Like some people think, don't date for a couple years or a year. But if 4 or 5 months have passed, it's not like he was looking for it. It just happened. And we've talked about that. And I talked about how it doesn't bother me while everyone else is going, ew, not Chrissy, not Chrissy. I was like, 2 single people, lonely. They got together. Like, they're just helping each other not be lonely. And now it's turning into something. It actually doesn't even bother me. They're fine.
I mean, I feel like once you sign those divorce papers, you don't get to say anymore. Like, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, she made it clear she wanted a divorce. Mm-hmm. He gave it to her. It's his right to do what the F he wants, like, to be perfectly honest. Like, I mean, I hate to say it that way, but
you're right.
She left him. I mean, come on.
In my mind, like, as long as whoever they're dating is not, like, being hurtful or disrespectful or, affecting the relationship with the kids.
Yeah.
Like,
and
go
Chrissy
for
has
it.
done
Like,
nothing. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so.
The thing with Sophie was a little weird, but that was kind of on Kyle, I guess. Because it was his weekend, but.
Yeah.
Technically, Sarah was in charge, but can you blame a 16-year-old for losing track of the 12-year-old? I don't really know at this point. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, well. Whatever. That's what we have.
Yep.
That's where we're at.
That's where we're at.
Yeah, and she's, they're still bringing in the mayor storyline. They're still talking about the challenges of getting the new city hall built, and so she's still dealing with a lot of that red tape too. As well. So she's dealing with a lot. So
plus John Henry's storyline and parenting woes. I mean, come on.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the kind of the bulk of this episode, talking about Lois's battle. So, like we just talked about, she's halfway through her treatments, and they are hitting her hard, and they talk about hair loss and sickness and more. But she and Clark are keeping things from the boys. And I just want to interject something here, since I talked about the hair loss, because somebody asked Bitsy on Twitter, are you going to be wearing a bald cap in this season? Are you going to be, like, completely bald? And she said that she came to the producers and was ready to shave her head and ready to do it. But they didn't want to do that. But what they did is she started the season with a lot more, she said, extensions and body in her hair, and they've been slowly taking that out. So she won't go like full bald. But they also had her in this episode wearing a cold cap that kind of helps you keep from losing hair. So, that was some of the questions that came up in the group, and I kind of jumped in there and posted that article. So I wanted to get that info in there since they did talk about hair loss, and I'm like, I didn't really see any hair loss. So, but
No.
Not yet.
I was
anyway.
kind of wondering that too. Like if they were going to go that route. I'm shocked she was willing to do it. Kudos for her, man. I don't know. I'd have that commitment to my craft.
That's dedication.
yeah.
It sure is.
I've shaved my head once. Have you ever done it, Jeff?
No.
I did it once because I made a mistake because I've been cutting my own hair for like 25 years. And
oh yeah, that's right. You told us about
yeah, when I was shaving up the back, the little clipper attachment kind of slid off a little bit, and I went zzz, with nothing but the blade, and it made this big like, oh my gosh. Well, I got to go the whole way now.
Oh no.
So I just shaved the whole thing, and what was funny is, I look in the mirror, I'm like, is that really me? Wow. But then when I showed up to work the next day, I got nothing but compliments. Everyone's like, man, you actually got a nice head. Oh, well, thanks, I guess. That's a weird compliment I've ever heard, but everyone said it looked fine. So, okay, well, I guess when it does happen, I'm not too worried about it now.
Yeah.
But
at least you have a nice head.
Yeah.
I'm keeping mine on my head as long as it will last.
Yeah.
It's going back, but as long as it's there, I'm going to go for it.
The hairline's going back, and I'm bald on the back here. I got the Friar Tuck bald patch happening. That's what bugs me right in the back here. But the worst thing about shaving your head is when you do decide to let it grow back, those first 2 weeks or so when it's all stubble. I've never been so itchy in my life. I'm just constantly scratching my scalp. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I get that. I know how women feel all the time. Just
with your legs or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, where are we? Should I be talking yet?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to weigh in on this bit. They're keeping it from the boys, and I think there are some discussions that Lois and Clark should really be having with the boys instead of kind of shirking it off and being always like, I'm fine, when they clearly know that she's not, right? Mm-hmm. But I agree with them not sharing the details of her will, the end of life directives, the goodbye letters. I mean, that stuff is just traumatizing to hear for any child, no matter how old you are. And if you're of a certain age, you understand that these things are happening behind the scenes. But do you really need all of those details? I say no. So while I think they should maybe be a little bit more open and being like, yeah, this is really rough, this really is not agreeing with me kind of thing about the treatments, I don't think they necessarily need to share the end of life preparations with their kids. Especially 16-year-olds, I just don't think that's appropriate. So that's why I struggled with John's storyline, to be honest. I was going to set up my comments for the rest of this episode.
Okay, yeah. I was wondering what you meant by John's storyline, because I loved his performance this episode, and we'll talk about it when we get to him, but
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. He knocked it out of the park. His performance was amazing.
I don't know if do we talk specifically about him anywhere in here or no?
I'm pretty sure that I have notes somewhere. I don't know exactly where.
Jonathan George seeking answers. Okay, yeah. Well, I'll save that thought for the next point. But 2 for 2, Harley, I agree with you as well. A sensitive situation like this, especially when it's your mom and whatever, you need to update your family as to what the reality of it is, where you are at. You can't brush off, no, I'm fine. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
But you've got to tell them, yes, I am sick. Yes, you're allowed to worry, boys, but I need you to support me. I need you to be there with me. I need you to help me when I need help, but don't treat me like a child, like an infant, like an invalid or anything like that. Just be there for me. And yes, when it comes to the will and the goodbye letters, that should have been locked away in a safe, not left open on the desk for them to find. Like, seriously.
Well, technically it wasn't on the desk.
In a drawer or whatever.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Dug for it, but
Should be locked
I agree.
away.
I agree.
That kind of stuff, especially a will, that should be locked away. And
TV convenience. Here we go.
Yeah.
So
That bothered me too.
Yeah.
But I mean, those things should be guessed. Nobody needs to know that. Your husband or your wife, that's it.
Yes.
They know
Agree.
because they're the one that's going to be plotting and planning and figuring all the details out. If you need to go,
well,
so
they're the one that has
that's
to
it.
deal with the direct aftermath, and then after that, I feel like it's their choice how to bring in their children, whether they're 16 or 36.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was rough because both of them are seeking answers, and once they find those stuff, that pushes them to go really. They head up to the fortress and grill Mama L about cures, and honestly, you could see the desperation there, especially with John, of like wanting to know why, and like why haven't you exhausted every possible thing that is possible? You've got this access to this technology that's beyond what's capable in the human realm. Why haven't you at least talked about it? And so this is where we get Clark coming in to kind of stop that. But I thought it was very honest and something I would have done too. So,
well, you have to think about that. Like, hello, they've got alien technology that could possibly help. Why? I would be thinking the same way. Why wouldn't we try it? Why wouldn't we look into it? And what I struggled with this episode was Lois and Clark's answer to that question about, well, if we use the technology on her and it works, then we have to share it with the rest of the world. And I'm like, okay, but isn't that a good thing? Like, if you could cure cancer for the whole world, isn't that a good thing? But then it's like, well, then you're also giving away secrets to your fortress. And I don't know. I'm very stuck in the middle as to what I feel more strongly about.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not sure about the way that you go about it, but like I'm thinking like they've got the relationship with the DoD, so you don't like share it straight from the fortress. You take it what you need to the DoD and have them work to release stuff and regulate stuff and
sure, yeah,
health and human services to kind of get the stuff out there. And so
yeah,
there should be a way. The world is aware of Superman. The world is aware of like different things, but I mean there's got to be a way. So yeah, I felt the same way. I was like, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I was thinking it was less about regulation and kind of they were just trying to keep the Superman secret, to be honest. Or maybe it was an excuse. I mean, I think Mama L had the most compelling point, stating, I don't know if she'll survive it. Like, I think it might kill her. I mean, at least we know in theory the chemo won't kill her. Whether or not it kills the cancer is a different story.
Yeah.
But at least in theory, the chemo doesn't typically kill the person getting it while they're in the treatment. It has a whole lot of nasty side effects, but normally it doesn't kill you. So I don't know.
But I think the other point that was hard for me to swallow was that it was basically Clark and Lois were basically saying, if it comes to that, we're going to let your mom die because we don't want to give the technology away. If nothing can fix her, it's like they both come to that conclusion that if that's what's going to happen, that's the way it has to be. Instead of willing to take the chance and try the Kryptonian technology.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you. I mean, I feel like if they've exhausted all options, that at that point they should just try it. But then I'm also wondering, like, at that point, is she too weak?
Yeah, see?
So it might be like a surefire bet that it would kill. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. I'm with you, though. I'm back and forth on it.
I mean, it brings up, this is another thing that, obviously cancer patients have to deal with is like, do I go to another country and receive a treatment that's experimental and not approved here in the U.S. or in Canada or wherever?
Yeah.
And go and get something that could possibly kill me, but like I've exhausted everything else. So it's a way for them to kind of deal with that storyline, but on a intergalactic level. But it's just rough.
Yeah, I mean, I had a friend do that. He exhausted all options, so he signed up for clinical trial after clinical trial, and they thought the first one was working, and then it quickly figured out it wasn't really working. So it's tough. Yeah. I mean, there's options, but it's like once you hit a certain point, it's kind of like you'll try anything until you realize that you can't.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to watch either way.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about John. I really, his actions forced them to come clean, and it was hard this episode seeing him struggle so much with this. It's his human side and warring with the Kryptonian side and things like that. But honestly, this is just another part of the cancer journey this season. We are seeing how the journey affects people and all the different viewpoints and all the different people involved around the cancer story. And so getting to see, a son trying to be there for his mom and trying to exhaust everything, and it was hard, but it was good to see that viewpoint because it's real.
Yeah, parts of it felt real, and then parts of it felt TV convenient. Like Martin said, like the fact that the will and other stuff wasn't in a safe or somewhere safe where you, no pun intended, where you would typically keep a will. You wouldn't just set it in a desk drawer, because what if there's a fire? I mean, you never know. Like anything could happen. Like that sort of stuff is either in a safe deposit box or in your safe in your home at the very least.
Right.
Yeah. Mind you, the small leeway I'll give them is that they were just working on it and starting to fill everything out. So maybe that's why it was out. They haven't actually finished.
First of all, a will has to be like done up by a lawyer. But now we're getting into details. Anyway.
Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off there.
I know. No, it's okay. Because we've talked about like some of this stuff, but I guess like I didn't, it felt overly dramatic that he was kind of like snooping around behind their backs, and convenient that he was able to find things. But at the same time, it also did feel like real. You feel like if a kid is frustrated and looking for answers, and they're, in their teenage years, they're going to rebel. They're going to find a way to kind of like find those answers if that's what they're looking for. It's just, I don't know. I was like, this isn't going to end well. You're going to find all this stuff. You're going to confront your parents, and it's not going to go exactly the way you think it's going to go. Like, you might get answers, but it's, I don't know. I didn't feel like it was a good way to go about it. But
yeah, and I think,
I don't know.
I think part of it too is this season is much more keyed in on time than previous seasons, because we are aware of how much time is passing, and there are time jumps, and it's more evident this season because we know about the treatment schedules and things like that. I think if we were seeing like week to week, and we had his storyline split over an episode or two, it would feel more balanced. But again, we are jumping 2 weeks in between episodes, and so we are not seeing some of the things that happen in between those two episodes that have led up to this, of them actually hearing it and maybe even discussing it, like about their mom and dad, of hearing it. So it's hard because we know time is passing, but they've got to show stuff on screen, even though it would be better if it was split out over a couple episodes. But
that's true.
I think we're just more aware of there's time jumps this season than some. So
yeah. No, good points. This is where I want to throw in what I'm going to say. Like that, you didn't hear us, or maybe you have listened, Harley, I'm not sure, but last week I was saying, this actor now that's playing Jonathan is really starting to find his way, and I'm feeling like he more truly is the Jonathan maybe we should have had the whole time. And a lot of it is his look. When you look at him, he looks like him and Jordan are actual brothers. Got the same thick eyebrows. They got the same facial structure.
They even brought that up in the episode.
They did.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, she actually said, "Oh, it's the eyebrows." You're right. But last week I was starting to feel like he's turning this over and making me feel like he is the Jonathan we've had all along. I'm sorry to say for the other actor, but I am starting to forget about him because this one is starting to fit in. But then this episode, this storyline, and his performance sealed the deal for me. This made him feel like he's been here all along. This is the Jonathan. He was able to showcase himself, play the part really well, get really dramatic, show some tears, and have this massive dramatic moment with the major players, with Clark, with Lois, and with Jordan. And it just made me feel like this is the family we've had all along. So that's why I want to commend him, because this was his shining moment that really solidified he's our Jonathan now. However many seasons this go, I think this kid has found it and plays the role. I think he's playing it better than the other one, and the looks have a lot to do with it, because when you actually look back at the other Jonathan, crystal blue eyes and curly blonde hair, he looks like he was adopted the entire time. He never looked like that he was actually one of their kids. Now this guy does, so I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the actor is doing a great job for sure. I mean, I thought his performance was great. My issue wasn't, really with that. I was just, I don't know, maybe struggling with just a couple of the points, but not bad. I mean, I love this episode, so.
Yeah. Yep.
So, even in the midst of Lois's cancer treatments, she is still being that reporter and digging into Peia's past and her connections with Bruno, and you kind of get that while Clark is interviewing Bruno, and both at the same time come clean on their relationship. And I thought that was a very cool dynamic of having the two interviews going on at the same time.
Yeah, I loved the way that those scenes were done. I toyed with picking one of those as my favorite scene until I realized it was like 5 scenes all spliced apart. And I was like, okay, never mind. I'm just going to go with something different.
I could have done it for you. I've done it before for my own scenes, so.
I know, but I mean, it would have been like a 10-minute clip, like when all was said and done. So,
pause while we listen to the TV show.
Right, exactly. Yeah, let's just recap the entire episode by listening to it right now. But I think that Peia was very clearly playing her from the beginning. I mean, her cancer treatments are definitely real, but I think Bruno was intentionally having her befriend Lois to kind of dig for details and stay ahead of Lois to kind of give him the heads up of, hey, where is she at? Like, let's get in good with her so that, she'll think you're close and you could ask her questions. And yeah, it started to turn the tables a little bit on Peia when Lois, was following her instincts, even though she wasn't really trusting her instincts. Clark was right. She was right.
Yeah, but the interesting thing I find here is that Bruno doesn't trust Lois because she's a reporter. Lois doesn't trust Bruno because she thinks he's done a lot of nefarious things. She's digging into him. Therefore, Clark doesn't trust him, but Clark doesn't think about it as deeply as Lois does. And now we get Peia involved, and Peia, because of her husband, doesn't trust Lois, and she's digging to find out what Lois knows. But what happened is all 4 of them didn't realize what truly was going on here, that we have 2 couples where one of them is dying from cancer and the husbands are doing everything they can to save their wives. And once all of a sudden in these last 2 episodes, you saw them both start to realize that and both start to question, why am I looking at this other person in such a bad light? They're going through the same thing we're going through. Maybe I can start to understand them. And we see both sides start to understand each other. And that really came through in this episode when Bruno shows up in front of Peia and Lois and Clark. They all come together. you could just feel there's this sense of understanding in the room, like we're all going through the same thing. We might go about dealing with the situation differently, but we're all going through the same thing, and we're building friendships without even realizing. I mean, especially with Lois and Peia, they didn't expect to get a friendship out of it, and that's why it was hard for Peia to go through with any more of it. And Clark was starting to understand Bruno, and we heard last week Lois heard his story, and it's like I really, really love, like you guys said, the development of this. They both came at each other like, we don't trust either side, dig, but then holy crap, we're in the same situation. We're in the same boat together. Why don't we help each other float instead of trying to sink each other? And it's really cool. Like the story writing for this is I would say this is the best hero versus villain writing we've had on the show out of the 3 seasons. It's very deep and very well fleshed out and what's going on. Love it.
Yeah. And this leads to my next question is, where do we think this is going to go? Because there's another layer there that the Mannheims don't know about, is Superman knows everything that Clark and Lois now know, but they don't know that, and so he's still an adversary. Now, Clark and Lois may be still be a little bit adversarial, but they don't know that connection yet. So there's still that, kind of connection there. How is this going to go for how is this going to play out? And that's my question. I'm generally like, I have no clue what's going to happen next, because it just opens a ton of doors.
Exactly. But they don't know Peia is Ano, do they? They didn't figure that out yet. Yeah,
Not
okay.
yet.
Yeah,
so,
it looks. Yeah, the trailer for next episode. I think that makes they may figure it out very quickly. So
I never see the trailers, but I think that is going to be the sticking point. You ask where's it going to go? I feel like these 4 people are going to come together to somehow help each other figure this out. Both men want to save their wives. Maybe if they put their heads together and they can work together to figure it out. But I think when they find out that Peia is Ano, that might be the wrench in the plans that breaks it all apart. Because we know she's been attacking Superman, yada, yada, whatever. That's, I think, is what's going to ruin. I think we're going to see them almost decide to be friends and figure it out, hence the next week's title, Who's Coming to Dinner, and something comes to the light that messes it up. That's my feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought there was kind of like a bigger plan at play here. I'm not sure exactly where it's all going to go quite yet. I don't think we have enough information. I thought that it kind of felt like Peia/Ano might have been neutralized a little bit from a power standpoint because she's gotten so weak. Yeah. But it sounds like maybe not, or maybe there's enough time where she has enough time to recover so she can get back to her antics next week, whatever that may be. But I'm not sure that I fully see the end game yet, other than, as they've clearly said this episode, like a cure for cancer. So I was wondering if they would even team up with Bruno just to find a cure for Peia and Lois. But that would require them understanding that there's this other layer to Peia, because I think that's specifically why Bruno's making sure people have powers and then trying to cure their cancer, because that's her exact situation. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's about where I'm at.
Yep.
Yeah, and I didn't put it in the villain section, but sometime before the end of the season, we've got to we're getting these drops of Lex's name and different things going on, but that he's going to be introduced in this season. We've seen it in the promos, and so I'm wondering how that is going to factor into that storyline. If it's going to be everybody versus Lex, or is he going to come in with some type of, I don't know, but so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's talk about Matteo and the irons here. So Matteo comes out to lunch, and this is really hard on John Henry, being the first boyfriend that comes along, and it's rough on him.
Definitely.
Yeah, I wasn't too happy with his reaction. He didn't even give the guy a chance. He was just immediately stern and strict and standoffish and looking angry. And I'm like, that's not cool, John. Come on. Give the kid at least a chance.
I feel like it's hard to be in that situation, though.
I guess. Still, like he didn't even try. He could have let it develop a little bit before he makes his judgments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's character development because, I mean, yeah, he messes up and he realizes that he messes up, and, he goes to talk to Lana as a kind of sounding board about how to work things out. And, he gets into the fact of, like, all along I've been like, be a teenager since she got here, and now she's doing teenager-y things, and I'm upset about it. And so, we kind of get her giving him some advice here. So,
yeah, I am glad that at least this romance, because I assume this is headed towards a romance, doesn't seem to really be in any hurry. Although, look, I'm not going to lie, I would rather see John Henry and Lana together than Chrissy and Kyle. I don't necessarily have it like out for Chrissy and Kyle, but I don't know. I feel like John Henry and Lana would be more organic and appropriate than Chrissy and Kyle just sort of felt shipped together. But anyways.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, again, we don't need so many relationships all happening at the same time. So let's just hold off on these guys. I know they put where I felt like they were pushing it was when John Henry comes to her office to say, "Hey, can I talk to you?" And Lana's secretary's like, "Woo!" and runs on like, "Shut up, get out of here!" Like, don't you force it. Yes.
So Matteo is like, I mean, he's like, I am going to kill your dad with kindness and gifts, and I'm going to do everything I can to win him over. I mean, typical. I mean, you look at who his parents are. I mean, I can definitely see him having that bravado there of like, I'm going to do everything to win him over because of, how much I feel my feelings towards you, Natalie. So, yeah.
I mean, I do really like Matteo. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like he is genuine. I'm just still trying to sort out, like, if he's really in on his parents' plans or if he's gonna end up being an innocent bystander in all of this. So we'll have to see.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's innocent. I feel like he knows his mom is sick and everything, but I don't think he knows anything of the nefarious stuff going on in the background. That's my feeling right now. I think it would really suck if they made him another spy, like go spy on everybody you can in that town. I don't see that right now.
Yeah, I don't either. I think this was very organic of their meeting. I don't think there was any like things like that, and I think his parents are going to be very surprised when they find out who Natalie's dad is. So, yeah. But John Henry does work through things and does like finally give him the benefit of the doubt and said, "Listen, she trusts you, I trust her. I'm going to give you some leeway here." So, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. I guess they'll get a fighting chance. We'll just have to see how it all plays out.
Yep.
Yeah. He came around, so hopefully, but then again, he saw them kissing and he just about lost it again, so
yeah.
He's having trouble.
I'm sure that can't be easy.
I almost thought, very small menu, I thought Lana's going to like, oh, come on, and she was going to grab him and kiss him there. Do you feel better? Like, I thought she was going to like even the playing field. But no.
Thankfully, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about Bruno and Peia, because in this episode, we got a lot of backstory. They have known each other since childhood, and Bruno's been in love with her since then. So it was wild to kind of get to see those flashbacks throughout this episode to kind of give us that insight, and I really appreciated how they were done.
Yeah, the backstory, I mean, all it does is develop Bruno as a really, really good villain. So much better. It just shows us the lead up and the build up to what got him to the point that he's at. It gives us background for the bad guy. It gives us understanding for the bad guy. It lets us know what he went through and what his reasons are for doing what he's doing. So background for a villain is key to making them a strong villain. So yeah, loved it.
Yeah,
that's true.
And I liked it because they did a bit of a spin like they've done with things from the comics, because Boss Moxie in the comics is actually Bruno's dad. So
interesting.
Yeah, so in this iteration, he's like, he's the head of Intergang and he's over things, but he's not that father figure in the same way that he is in the comics. And they've totally changed Peia, Ani, but they've totally changed that. So this is total change up from the comics, but it was a real spin to know that, like, okay, she's in the gang as well, and you're like, okay, how are they both in the gang, and like, what, we still don't know the ins and outs of how they both got involved in Intergang, but it was interesting to see that, that they're working together is kind of what, brought them together romantically as well.
Yeah, that was interesting. I was not expecting the dynamic that occurred, for sure.
I think she wasn't sure. He knew he loved her right from the beginning, but she wasn't sure. I think her feelings were slowly developed as he kept proving himself to her over and over again, that I'm doing this for you. That's what eventually won her over. She wasn't quite there yet.
Yeah, I mean, it was very much, he's the visionary. He's got the drive to make Hobbs Bay better and more for the people there, but he wants her deeply involved and to make this a better world for both of them. And so that's what really helped her see that it's not just about him, it's that he wants a better world for both of them, and so he wants her involved. So
yep.
But we do get to see their takeover of Intergang. And we see Peia has been Intergang's enforcer for, Boss Moxie. And she's had her powers. So,
yeah. My
question is, like, how did she get her powers? How long has she had them from birth? Like, what happened to give her powers? Like, that would make sense of why she's involved in Intergang and, why she's kind of in the upper management there because of her abilities. But, like, it just raises a world, like, in the world where there was no, reactor accident to cause metas, what in this world gave her powers? So
yeah, no, I definitely have this question too. I mean, I loved all of these flashbacks. I would like to see a little bit more of them. I mean, in this episode alone, like, it was really great just to get to watch the range of the actress who plays Peia. I can't quite remember her name, but I mean, I thought she did like an amazing job because she's giving this like incredibly like emotional, like epic performance as a cancer patient. And then in the flashbacks, she's like, she's playing controlled rage is what I felt like throughout the entire thing. And I thought she was great. So I hope that we kind of continue to maybe get little pieces of their backstory, because I want to see more. Like, I want to know how they went from taking over Hobbs Bay to be like Anno and Bruno Mannheim. Like, how does this become them today? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Oh, definitely.
The actress is Waverider.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I pronounced that right. Waverider.
Yeah,
I think that's how
we
I
mentioned that.
pronounced it last episode. I think that's how I pronounced it. But anyway.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember the name. But yeah, she's great.
She is amazing. Like, you don't often, it's rare to get a really strong supporting character that, like she's supporting the supporting character. So it's not usually this strong of a performance that you would get, but my God, she is a breakout role here. Like, she's so dramatic, so expressive. We've seen her gone from happy, joking, to sad and upset and depressed to angry and mad and using her superpowers. Like, what a range. She is amazing. Like, very, very expressive. Did we ever, I know I've missed a couple episodes, did we ever break down what her powers truly are? Are they just Black Canary type powers, or is hers slightly different?
So she is, if you listen to her, her powers are kind of, she is emulating sounds. So like, if you listen to her where she takes out the other people in Inner Gang in that scene, you can hear mimicking a machine gun. She's mimicking, so she's done a shotgun. So like, her voice emulates what she's doing. So like, if she could, like, if she wanted to, like, I guess, imitate like an arrow or imitate a knife throw, or so, like, whatever sound she's producing, it's having that effect on the person. So like, she was in this episode, she was doing rapid fire machine gun to take out the people. So it's different than just a straight sonic cry, like a canary cry. So she is emulating sounds, and those sounds are having that effect on the people, because in those first couple episodes they were like, well, like, the wound looks like this type of weapon, but there's no bullet there. So it's different. So she's using those sounds to attack a person. So
yeah.
Because when you look her up on the Wikipedia or any of it doesn't describe that at all for onomatopoeia. It just says superhuman durability. That's it.
Yeah,
really good with weapons. So this is not the onomatopoeia from the comics.
No, they've chosen, like, that character mimics sounds, but those sounds didn't have an effect on people, and that character doesn't really talk. Like, they just make those sounds menacing. So yeah, they've definitely taken it and put a spin on it. So,
and this is, I'm a little bit leaning over the fence on this one, because it's visually, it's something we've seen for 10 years in the Arrowverse. So I'm like, couldn't you just create something a little bit different? We need to see yet another female character screaming at the top of her lungs, because really that's what she's doing. So I was like, but at the same time, because the actress is so dang good at it, I'm enjoying her play the part. But, I'm just feeling like, been there, done that. We've seen this already. There's a little bit of that in there that bugs me a bit. So. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have to deal with that with superhero portrayals on screen of, like, existing characters, or even if they're going to make them, they've got to figure out how they're going to show it. And, like, you get the, like, okay, this is Marvel's version of the character, and here's DC's version of the character, and they've got, you compare Quicksilver and Flash. So, like, how, especially X-Men Quicksilver versus Flash, and some of those effects and how they do. So, like, how do you make it different when they've got similar power sets? So.
No, I hear you, but I mean, just within DC themselves, how many screaming characters are there? Like, it's like just in this TV universe, how many canaries have we had? And how, like, if they had to just described her as, because what it looked like happened when we first saw her shooting at Superman, it looked like she was disorienting him and making him dizzy and feel sick. So if they kind of played it a little bit differently, that it's something like that and not just mimicking sound, maybe there's a bit of a change. But I don't know. It's just, I just wanted to bring up that it is feeling a bit of seen this already feeling. Not a lot, but I just like her. So.
Well, at least in present day, you have the mask. The mask gives that unsettling feeling.
That's creepy
it
as
changes
hell.
its shape,
Yeah.
depending on the type of sounds that she's doing. So I think that
That's
was how they were trying to like differentiate it. But in the flashback, she doesn't have that yet. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. But it is the same effect, you're right?
Yeah. And that mask is probably a power amplifier because like she's probably because she's weaker physically and stamina because of the cancer, so it's probably it disguises identity, but it's also probably some sort of amplifier as well.
Well, good points that you both brought up there. Now let's talk about the mask. What exactly is it? Is it organic? Because it changes. It's not holographic?
No,
it's not. Is it mechanical? What is it? It kind of looks organic to me, the way it molds and shapes around. It's like clay.
Yeah, I'm thinking some type of nanotech or something, because like last episode when she took it off, like it was changing when she took it off.
It goes back to its original state kind of thing.
Yeah. So
it's like blank.
Yeah. I don't know. Strange. Yeah. Maybe we'll see more flashbacks about what he created that to help her stay strong. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I want to know. That's why I'm like, I want to see.
Yes, more flashbacks.
Yes, I want more flashbacks. I want to know how they became Onomatopoeia and Bruno, like the Bruno Mannheim we know today. That's what I want. Yeah.
Okay.
So we get the reveal, and Jess was right.
Woo!
That Matteo is Bruno's son and Peia's son.
Yeah, we'll give you that one.
So now what's going to happen when they find out that Nat is John Henry's daughter? So,
well, does Bruno? Oh yeah, I totally forgot. Bruno does know who John Henry is because they faced each other off. Okay, so
but he doesn't know that because this world's John Henry didn't have a daughter. Yeah. So
maybe that's the dinner question. Maybe Nat goes to Bruno's house for dinner.
Yeah. I definitely think so. Yeah.
Question is John Henry going to be there? Because I don't think she drives. Yeah. And also, like, I mean, honestly, this is kind of where I do have like a little bit of a question. I don't know. I am still wondering if Matteo is really innocent in all of this. Does he really have no idea who John Henry is? Or is this somehow part of like Bruno's bigger plan, having Matteo date Nat? Like in some ways it feels like a stretch, but I feel like there's still more to this story to be revealed to us. So I don't know. Like there's something that doesn't feel quite right, although this idea does seem to be like a little bit of a stretch. So I've still got questions.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a stretch. I could see him like being a spy, maybe a spy in Smallville because things are going on there. But like, I don't think he knows who Nat's dad is. But I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out on that one.
Next week on Superman and Lois.
But for right now, for some of you lucky folk, you will get a ad break. And I think it's generally just been one that's been playing for me. Not always. Not even.
Varies, yeah.
Sometimes zero, sometimes one. But anyway, pause for an ad break. We'll be back in a sec.
Shape out an eagle!
And that's the cue. We're going right into favorite scenes. Ooh, Harley's first this week.
I am first, and I felt like I needed to pick something funny and light before we get into the next two scenes that are very serious and very heavy. So I went with the scene that literally made me laugh out loud, and I've called this, wait, what bands did you see?
So, should we get some candy or...
Actually, that won't be necessary.
Oh my god, it's like a candy shop in here.
Yeah, well, why pay movie theater prices for what you can just sneak in the show?
Ooh, these gummies look good.
Oh my god, no, those aren't for sharing.
No.
Sarah?
Oh my god, You're a stoner.
No, this is so inappropriate. Please don't tell your dad about this.
Oh my god, my dad's dating a stoner. Where'd you even get those?
Okay, I go to Coachella every summer and bad decisions are made and we're never going to mention these gummies ever again. Okay? Wait, what bands did you see?
Poor Chrissy.
It just made me giggle. Like, they were kind of starting to like break the ice, and then it just goes not the way you're thinking. And Sarah's like, "Oh, this is amazing! Like, you are not who I thought you were. Like, you're cool."
Yep.
It was funny. It was funny.
And Lana witnessed a lot of that too.
Did she see that part, or did she just see it after the movies?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, she witnessed them having a good time and getting along. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
yes, you're right.
Yeah. So. Fun stuff for sure. All right, I'm up next. I'm calling this one Letting Them Have It. And this is Jonathan getting angry with Lois and Clark as they arrive home and blows up at him about the will and all that stuff. And then they have a little talk later in the bathroom. So it's a little bit of a longer scene, but it's very dramatic. And I wanted to play the whole thing. So here it is.
Can't stop thinking about it. I mean, Bruno, all of this, it's been to save Peia.
Yeah, meanwhile, I've been chasing this brutal crime boss for years, and now all I can see is his loving, doting husband.
Mom, what is this?
Whoa, you guys went through your mom's things?
You lied to us about how bad this is.
Boys.
These are end-of-life documents, Mom. This is your will. You wrote goodbye letters, Mom.
I know. And I know how this looks, and I know that this is really scary, but this is all a normal thing you would do just in case things go bad.
Things are already bad. We hear you getting sick. We see you losing your hair, not eating, not drinking, weak, but you never talk to us about anything. And when we try to get help from your mom about what is going on, you get mad at us? I mean, what are we supposed to do?
Jonathan, look, you have to...
What, Dad? Have hope? Just believe that somehow everything is gonna work out fine. You know, maybe that works for you as a Kryptonian, but us humans like Mom and me, we can't. Because hope didn't stop your dad from having a heart attack. It didn't stop your mom from having a stroke, and the last time that I checked, hope doesn't cure cancer.
Sorry you had to hear that.
John's just scared. I think seeing me like this is a big reminder that he's not like you and Jordan.
Yeah. Why don't you get some sleep? And I will go and talk to the boys.
I think it would be better if they heard it from both of us.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Come here. You were right. I'm really sick. And we've been trying to hide it from you and pretend like everything's fine.
But you said no more secrets.
We didn't mean for it to be a secret.
We just didn't want you guys worrying about something that may never happen.
You can't know that for sure.
Jonathan.
It's true. This kind of cancer is really bad.
Okay, then why not use technology from the fortress? Yeah, there might be something there that can help you.
Because if we use it to help your mom, it wouldn't be fair to keep it from anyone else. And sharing Kryptonian technology here, the risk to the greater good is just far too high.
What if the chemo's not enough?
Then we're all just gonna have to accept that.
I just don't want you to die.
I don't want to either. I love you both so much. More than anything in the world.
Oof. Yeah, again, it's the new Jonathan's performance really sealed it for me there. I mean, it sounds even better just with the audio without even watching it. He just plays it so well, and I don't think that's something the older Jonathan could have done. The older Jonathan, I noticed that this season is kind of, I think they're rewriting him a little bit, because the first two seasons, Jonathan was a little bit cocky, a little bit tough guy. I'm an all-around athlete. jockey kind of guy, and this Jonathan is not coming off like that. He's coming off a little more sincere, a little more emotional, and different.
Yeah, I think they're really reflecting on his growth throughout the past 2 seasons of what he's gone through, and seeing his alter ego from the other world who was super powered, and how that fame went to his head, and just all the different things. So I think they're really just using it as a way to show how he's grown from who he was when we first started to see the character in season 1 to now. So
yeah.
And so mine kind of goes right along with that. I called this one Father and Son Porch Talk, so let's take a listen.
You got a porch scene again.
Yep.
Bad time?
You tell me?
I'm sorry. I know you're doing everything possible to help Mom. I just wish there was more we could do.
Yeah. Me too.
Probably helps having a glass of wine, though. Wait, can you even feel it?
Nope, not even a little. But it's something your mom likes, so. I was thinking about what you said earlier about being human like your mom.
I didn't mean anything by that.
I know, but I understand where it's coming from. But I want you to remember that you are just as much Kryptonian as your brother. And he's just as human as you are.
It's probably Wilmot's a gator.
No, that's Lana.
Sarah.
That last moment with the fireworks felt very Smallville. I don't know why. The music and the way they filmed it felt like a Smallville type of scene.
Yeah.
It was good. I mean, I liked that little touch with the fireworks. That was nice.
Yeah. At the beginning of the series, Clark and John were alike in a lot of ways because of, just the football, the athleticism, and the different things like that. Clark understood John more, and throughout the couple seasons, they have changed because of, Jordan coming into his powers and different things like that. So getting to see them bond after what we've seen in this episode was really good. I just really appreciated those moments between the two of them talking and kind of resetting, and just Clark letting John know he cares about him, and he understands, and making him feel a part of the family, even to reiterate, like, he is half Kryptonian, even though it just seems like he is human. So
do you guys think that because we speculated this through season 1, season 2, is Jonathan going to stay unpowered for the entirety of this show?
I don't know. I mean, it feels like that's what they're setting up for. I mean, there's been no hint of anything. So.
Yeah, I think that we may see, like we talked at the end of last season of, like, is there going to be some technology that he, puts on some type of suit that enhances stuff? Is there going to? I think if we do, it's going to be a slower burn. I mean, I don't think it's like, okay, the end of the season, he's going to. I think that's not where the arc is going. I think it's going to be a slower burn of, like, we may see him start to develop some stuff, but they're going to be, I think if he does get powers, they're going to be different from Jordan's. And so it's going to be like him having to experience different powers than maybe his dad and Jordan have, or something like that, so that it's not like two sons with the exact same powers. But I think it's if they do give him powers, I think they're going to be a little bit different. So,
see, because if you remember, we used to talk during the first season that one of the boys is going to be good and one's going to be evil because there's jealousy happening and all that kind of stuff. Now with the new change in the actors, I don't see that storyline happening, and I'm actually thinking they're going to keep it 2 and 2 superpowered, 2 humans. That's just the way it is, because that's how we get stories like this. Cancer. Humans can't survive it. What is this family going to do? I think they're going to keep it like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
All right, good scenes this week, guys. Let's remind people how they can support the show.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
If you don't dial it, we'll cry like a violin.
All right, we are kicking it off with an email from Comic Geek Kev, and I realized, guys, that I have not read one from him at all this season. You guys keep taking them, so I'm taking it this week.
Go for it.
Hey, Legends, SNL does it again, and with no Superman. What a great episode. This show is not taking the easy way out. Given the nature of the show, they could have had Lois stricken with cancer and had it cured in a number of ways, including Kryptonian science. But instead, we are getting to see how hard it is on her physically and on the whole family emotionally. I'd like to see some more interaction with the regular characters and Lois, like Chrissy and Lana, but we can't have everything. You can't blame the kids for trying to help at the fortress. Those scenes were great, and I'm really feeling some of Clark's powerlessness coming through Jonathan. Even as Jordan was telling John to take it easy, he wasn't, and he called Clark out, right or wrong, about what he sees as Clark not doing everything he can. Maybe Clark reminding John that he's also half Kryptonian will remind the writers that Lara supposedly had surprises for John. Mm-hmm. I can accept the explanation that Lois wouldn't be able to handle a Kryptonian intervention. That makes sense. I do not accept that if the Fortress could help, that Clark wouldn't do it, just because they shouldn't use the technology for everyone. I'm sorry, but if you can help your loved one in that situation, you help them. That just didn't ring true to me, and it was the only part of the episode I had an issue with. Mm-hmm. I love the juxtaposition, God, I always hate saying that word, of having everyone at the theater at the same time and seeing the moviegoers have fun of many types. I'm a little surprised, after Sarah's recent behavior, that she so quickly accepted Chrissy, but I feel like that was more to advance Lana's story. So I guess I had 2 issues. Laugh out loud. So the mystery that never was, that Matteo is Mannheim's son, finally is, quote-unquote, revealed. Thank you for not keeping it going on any longer. The scenes between Lois and Peia continue to be so well done by both performers, and I have to say I was shocked we got the reveal of the Mannheim marriage when we did, and more so how we did. But again, very well done. They are doing a good job of humanizing Mannheim, making it hard to really see him as a bad guy. Exactly, Gav. Exactly. It's really nice to see Clark be a reporter again. That seems to get very often forgotten. We didn't talk about that. Very true, because is he not working for the Smallville Gazette now?
Yep, he is.
Yeah, so this was like the first story we've seen him go do. All right. So no Superman, no Kyle, no Sophie. Boy, that didn't last long, did it? But still, a great episode. The show really knows how to play up the drama in a good way and make us really care about these characters outside of the superhero action. I will correct you. Sophie was in the scene. She was sitting at the kitchen counter behind, in
True.
one of the scenes.
Counter.
Yeah, the diner. She didn't say anything, but she was at the diner when Chrissy walked in to pick up the takeout order. So
yeah,
she was
true.
There. Yeah. Anyway, for a show that really doesn't have bad episodes, this one was outstanding. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 dumb Einstein viewings. Until next time, Comic Geek Kev.
And so I put it in the Facebook group, but the whole Dumb Einstein is a takeoff on Young Einstein, the movie. And they even did like some like art in the artwork of the poster. They had like the half-eaten apple, like this is in the the Young Einstein. So they had some fun with mocking up a movie. So
That's funny.
I want to commend Comic Geek Kev on something in his emails. I am very anal about punctuation and grammar and spelling and everything, and your emails are laid out beautifully. Your punctuation is in the right, because I'm a writer. I took fictional story writing and all that kind of stuff, courses and classes. I do a lot of that stuff, and I just appreciate it. Your punctuation is exactly where it's supposed to be, and why I like that is because when I'm reading your email, as I'm going through it, it helps me know where the breaks are, where to enunciate, where to add emphasis and all that kind of stuff. That's what punctuation does. So just want to say I appreciate that, Kev. It helps me read your email properly.
Yay.
yeah.
All right. The only other feedback we got this week is a voicemail from Dad Al. Here he is.
Hello, Super Fam. It's Dad Al back here with an interesting question that this episode posed. Can a show with Superman in the title have an episode where we don't see the cape flapping in the wind? And I think the answer is yes, it can. Obviously, this is probably just a one-time deal. I don't foresee them stringing together many episodes without seeing the Man of Steel suited up and saving people, but they show they could do it with this episode, and that was interesting. Opening up with that vomiting scene, man, that was tough to see. Jonathan losing it. I've seen that happen in families, so that was, for me, seemed to be a very visceral, real reaction, and man, I thought it was powerful. And also getting the backstory for Bruno and Peia, I thought that was excellent storytelling. To make villains interesting, we need to know their history, their motivations, so kudos to the writers here. I also enjoyed Clark getting to show off his reporting skills. Maybe he's not quite as good as Lois, but he got the chance to shine this week and show off his skills. So overall, I just thought it was a great episode, just giving more motivation, more story, especially on our villains. Now, here's a few nitpicks that I have. The use of the Kryptonian tech to heal Lois. The explanation that Lois could not survive the use of the Kryptonian technology seemed good and reasonable. But then saying, if it worked, how could they not share it? That fell flat for me. I was fine with the Kryptonian versus human explanation, but then coming in and saying, well, if it worked, then we'd have to share it for the world, and the world's not ready for Kryptonians. But, I mean, isn't her one life worth saving? I think Superman said this last season. It's one life, isn't it worth saving? Let's make an analogy. How can Superman not spend his entire day saving people? Why does he pick and choose? Can he not use the Kryptonian tech to choose Lois's life in this instance? So, to me, I kind of struggle with this. Maybe the discussion on the podcast can help me with this, but I assume they went this way to draw a contrast between Clark and Bruno, but I don't really think it was executed well. I don't think it worked that well. And my other thing about the Natalie Matteo love story, I thought that whole thing was just so over the top. John flipping out. That was just to get him and Lana together so they could talk. I thought Matteo, not the actor, I think the actor was great, but, the things they had him doing, shouting out to the movie theater ticket line. I know these teenagers barely know each other, and then Lana saying it's the best feeling, falling in love, being a teenager. I thought, these people barely know each other, and sometimes teenage relationships don't go so well. But anyway, so there's a few nitpicks on those things related to the episode, but again, I really did like it. But I'm going to give it 8 bell rings. Dad Al, last father of Krypton.
He's not wrong.
He's not.
No. And these things that he touched on is why I only give it an 8 as well, because it wasn't. I think the last 2 weeks were far better executed, start to finish. So, yeah, and the talk about sharing Kryptonian technology, I totally agree with him on that too, because it's And we've brought this up before. Superman really has to be picky and choosy on who he saves. You're talking about an entire planet. There is probably somebody in trouble every second of every day. Superman would never actually be home if he truly wanted to save the world. So take that with a grain of salt. He's got to, they've shown us time and time again that he can listen to the entire world. So that's got to be a lot of energy output to tune the world out.
Yeah, that's true.
And go, well, that woman in Hong Kong that's about to jump off a bridge, I'll let that one go.
Yeah.
You know?
When you put it that way, that's kind of hard to swallow, I guess.
Yeah.
But you have a good point either way.
Cool, guys. Well, thanks for the feedback. Everybody else, if you'd like to get feedback in for the show, as well as Flash, which we will be recording on Saturday. The last 4 episodes of Flash, guys. You want to get your thoughts in about that? And Superman Lois, this is what you have to do.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to Tomorrow's Legends Podcast at gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter at Tomorrow's Legends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/Tomorrow's Legends and become part of the community.
Alrighty. That's it for us tonight. If you guys want to check out The Mandalore, I guess I'd be leaning you over to Inside the Force this week because I guested on Vizsla's other show, Inside the Force, called Council Sessions yesterday for today, for Star Wars Day, because it's Star Wars Day. So I did a little recording where he asked me the question, what are you most looking forward to out of all the new stuff that's coming? So out of the new eras that we're in. So we had a little conversation about that. And we're going to be covering the Ahsoka trailer next. That's coming up this Sunday. And then after that, we're diving into Star Wars Visions. So check out The Mandalore if you're interested in any of that. That's all I got, guys. If you guys have anything else, add to it. Otherwise, I'm going to say this is The Flash, signing off.
And this is Harley Quinn. And if you guys are into Ted Lasso at all, just a reminder that me and my buddy Logan are doing a very loose, off-the-cuff podcast on Ted Lasso called Pod Lasso. So if you want to check that out, but it's full of tangents. It's very unscripted, but we are mostly talking about Ted Lasso. So you can check that out. I'm out.
And this is X-Force11, and I did leave some good feedback for Dive Into DC on their next one up is talking about the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. So I watched that again for the second time and gave them some feedback, but also gave some insight on why I chose Blue Lantern as my superhero alter ego. So you can check that out on their next podcast. And until then, so say we all.
Yeah, and I know we all signed off, but we haven't. I just restarted the music, so we got another minute to play with. Our listener lounge, we haven't gotten anything for Flash or Superman Lois at all this season. So I don't know if our listeners, our usual ones, Carrie Johnson, Abby, if they're just forgetting or they don't care anymore or don't have anything to ask. But I want to just remind everybody, hey, that's there. We haven't done a bonus podcast for you guys in a long time. And we got to figure out.
We should check our Patreon.
Well, I get notification. Right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I get notification of everything, so they just send it to their regular email anyway. But yeah, anyway, that's out there, guys. So remember to do it. Extra questions if you want.
Yep.
Now we're signing off as the clock ticks down. 5, 4. Count too fast. 3, 2, 1.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, HBO, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network. Be sure to check out our partner shows, The Mandalore and Dive Into DC, covering your favorite Star Wars and DC Comics properties. Thanks for listening.